All right, welcome to the Krug Show, everybody. Larry Krueger, joined by the kid from Cal Poly, the younger Krug, the system son, Kevin Krueger. Story of the morning. Happy Halloween, everybody. This is my costume. I'm dressed as a middle-aged Niner fan. Welcome to the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show. Larry Krueger, Kevin Krueger alongside 49ers making a move today. Third-round draft choice to the Commanders. Chase Young is now a 49er. And John Lynch strikes again with a big-time trade deadline move. Last year, Christian McCaffrey. He's done it in the past with Jordan Willis, with Charles Omenihu, with Emmanuel Sanders, and today, maybe the best of all of them, Chase Young, the former Buckeye, reunites with Nick Bosa, and the Niners have their bookend rushers coming out of the bye week. For a third-round pick, Chase Young is a free agent at the end of the year. He had his fifth-year option declined by the Commanders, so he is a free agent. I would imagine the Niners will try to get him signed long-term. And we want to get your guys' reaction. The chat's starting to fill up immediately. Kev, what do you think? Just came down as we were sitting there. Montez Sweat went to the Bears. That was my first choice. And the Bears gave a second-round pick, the Bears gave a second-round pick to the Commanders, I believe, for Montez Sweat. And the Niners give a third for Chase Young. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first initial reaction. I was like, well, first, when Sweat got traded, I was like, oh, early second rounder, that's a lot higher than I thought he was going to go. And I happily pass on that if I was the 49ers, early second rounder that you don't even have for Sweat. But Chase Young for a third, I mean, I didn't think that this was going to happen just because they have so much talent already on the D-line. But a third rounder when you have compensatory picks coming your way this draft anyways, and you have the chance to re-sign him long-term, I mean, I think it's a good deal. He's probably the better rusher of the two, right? I mean, he's a great player, and now they're really, really fortified. This might be one of their best defensive lines, period, ever. Better than 2019. I mean, this defensive line is deep now because now you have guys coming off the bench that used to be starters. I mean, this is a legit defensive line. I mean, they still need some help in the secondary, but that is a legit defensive line. And the other thing I'll say is that you had to be aggressive here because the Eagles are building a super team over there. And they're rumored to get Jalen Johnson here too. So you need to be able to compete with them with their star-studded talent, and Chase Young is a great way to do it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, looking at his game log, week 1 against Denver, he had 3 tackles and 1.5 sacks. Week 2 against Buffalo, he had 3 tackles. He was shut out in the sack department. Week 3 against Philly, he had 3 tackles and a sack, and a tackle for a loss. Week 4 against the Bears, he had a sack or half a sack. Week 5 or this, October 22nd, I guess that was week 6 against the Giants, he had 2 sacks and a tackle for a loss. So, I mean, Chase Young has made a number of, and in this last game against Philly, he did get no sacks and only 1 tackle. I'm a little surprised. I mean, this guy's 24 years old.
Yeah.
He's got 5 sacks this year. He's 24 years old. I mean, if you look at his profile, you're talking about a guy who's really, having a fantastic year. He's projected for a year to have, over double-digit sacks. So it's hard to beat that. 24 years old, and you're getting him for a third-round pick. He's really well coached at Ohio State. And now you've got 4 guys up front. Hargrave, Armstead inside, Bosa and Chase Young outside. It's a Russian cover game. If the Niners have they have Samuel Womack. They have Darrell Luter. I still think they'll try to get a corner before the top of the hour when the trade deadline officially comes at 1:00 Pacific. But they have a couple guys internally that they like that are coming back. There was no internal player at defensive end. I mean, you could not rely that Robert Beal was going to help you. And that's really all they have. I mean, they had Randy Gregory and Drake Jackson and Cleveland Farrell now as their depth pieces. and Chase Young starts and pushes Farrell to the bench, I think this gives them a nice array of rushers. Takes a lot of pressure off of Drake Jackson and, gives the Niners a whole new look up front. I mean, you got to deal with both these guys off the edges, and hopefully this unlocks Bosa a little bit because he's been really pretty mediocre so far.
Yeah, and this is according to David Lombardi. Chase Young will cost the 49ers only about $561,000 this year. So that's essentially nothing.
Right, because he's on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
It's going to cost him a lot to sign him long term. And
Yeah.
that's the question. I mean, can they sign him long term? And I would imagine if you're going to trade your third round draft choice, depending on how he looks with you, but I would say there's a very good chance that the Niners will try to extend him. So I think it's a great move. I think it's an outstanding move. And Lynch strikes again. And, it's hard to do these deals when you're one of the best teams in football. And, it's like you're picking at the end of the round. A third round pick from the Niners is like a fourth round pick. Most teams in the league outside of like 5 or 6, if they call for like a Montez Sweat, I bet you the Niners offered, I wouldn't be surprised if they offered a second round pick for Montez Sweat, and the Bears just, jumped in front because their second round pick's way higher than the Niners.
Yeah, that's really puzzling if I'm the Bears. I don't know. I don't know where people stand on Sweat versus Young, but I would think that Young is the better player. And then we're seeing within a couple hours, one guy getting traded for a late third and the other guy getting traded for an early second. So if you're the Bears, you probably don't feel great about that. I'm not sure how many years are left on Sweat's deal, but yeah. No, I mean, this defensive line is just, talk about the Randy Gregory trade. People were super hyped about that. And he's actually, I thought he's played decently in the limited snaps he's had. But Chase Young is just, he is like the Pat Surtain of defensive ends. He just hasn't been on the field long enough. He has the prototype size. He has the skill. He has the talent. And another thing about this trade is that they're going into the bye week. So it's not like one of those things where he may get limited snaps playing on this Sunday. It's like he's going to be in this offense, fully integrated into this offense from week 1, in my assumption.
By the way, now after this trade, the 49ers have a first-round pick, their own, a second-round pick. They had 3 thirds, so now they have 2 thirds. Now, I don't know which pick they moved here, if they moved a compensatory pick, which is even after their pick, or if it's their actual third-round pick, but it really doesn't matter. They're both going to be late. So they had 3 threes. So now you have a 1, a 2, 2 threes, 2 4s, their own and Dallas's that they got for Trey Lance, 2 5s, both compensatory picks, 2 6s, and a 7th. So, the 49ers, even with this trade, are slated to have 11 picks in next year's draft. And, they still have their ability. The thing about it is you wanted to be able to make a move, but you didn't want to move your number 1 pick. Why? Because you've got an older left tackle and you have kind of a replacement level right tackle, and you probably need to invest your first round pick in an offensive tackle in April. So you didn't want to move that number 1 pick, but you wanted to make sure that when you're inside your Super Bowl window that you're fortified up front. And bottom line is the 49ers are mid-pack, sacking the quarterback. They got to get home. They got to sack the quarterback. They got to affect the quarterback. Joe Burrow and Kirk Cousins the last 2 weeks carved them up like a Thanksgiving turkey. They just sat back there and just said, yep, boop, 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 all day. And it just, you can't do it. You can't play football that way. You could have Deion Sanders on one corner and think of your dream corner, Mike Haynes, Lester Hayes, whoever it's going to be. You could have the 2 greatest corners, Rod Woodson and Deion, whatever it is. You could take the 2 greatest corners that ever played and put them on defense. And if you can't affect the quarterback up front, you can't play coverage. And then when you have one of these, they're going to have to dial it up as far as, a lot more. They're going to have to hug up on receivers and take away the immediate stuff, these teams that try to neutralize the Niners rush will continue to try to do that, get the ball out in 2.5 seconds, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to move the quarterback off his spot, or you have no chance against the best quarterbacks in the league. And guess who you're playing in the playoffs? The best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah. So Very interesting trade. Let's get some reaction from the chat. We got this one, Kev, from 69ers. Do you think they will still trade for Jalen Johnson?
I think they should.
I think they should. I would absolutely. I think he's the kind of guy I would move. I'd move a pick. What will be interesting to me is like a 3rd round pick is probably too low for Jalen Johnson, but a 2nd round pick may be a little too high. The Bears also have Dante Foreman, and there's a lot of talk that he may move. I kind of wonder if the Niners want another running back.
It's hard. I don't really understand what the Bears are doing. They're buying and selling. Like they're, I don't really understand that right now.
Well, Jalen Johnson's demanded a trade.
Yeah, no, that's different, obviously. But I've seen something that was like, oh, he wants top 5 corner money. And it's like, okay. Like there's no way that's happening. He's not that good. He's good.
Well, he's played really, really well this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about Jalen Johnson. He's playing at a very, very high level.
He's from Utah, right? He's a Utah corner.
Yep, Utah corner, and I believe he's a Southern California kid.
Yeah.
So, maybe you could sign him long term.
I mean, yeah, he's a legit outside corner, and then that you can move Demo into the slot and then move Oliver out in those passing situations where he's getting burned all the time. And yeah, I know that would be a good fit for their secondary because that right now it's Demo kind of getting bullied by bigger receivers, I think, on the outside. Demo's a really good tackler. I think he leads PFF or a top PFF tackler for cornerback. So I still like Demo, but I think inside is where he definitely could be best.
Okay, so Jordan Schultz 2 hours ago. Let me share the screen on this one. This is kind of interesting. Jordan Schultz. Who are you familiar with Jordan Schultz?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let me share the screen on this one and show you what Jordan Schultz is saying here. This is Schultz earlier today, a couple hours ago, talking a little bit about
the season. He ranks 3rd.
Here we go. Jalen Johnson.
84.4 coverage grade this season. He ranks 3rd best in PFF. And I can tell you that in terms of Jalen Johnson, the young corner with the Bears, it really Buffalo, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh, those are the 4 most likely suitors. Jalen Johnson has been really, really frustrated with the lack of an extension that he believes he deserves. It would take about $15 million per season to make Jalen Johnson one of the top 10 cornerbacks that I think he is. And certainly at this point in his career, 2nd round pick out of Utah, he has become one of the premier young corners in the league. So again, Jalen Johnson, if you're looking for a trade suitor, it's probably either Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, or San Francisco. And it will be a big asking price, but they have made 0 progress on an extension. He certainly wants one, deserves one. And it looks like Chicago potentially getting Montez Sweat and potentially moving on from Jalen Johnson before today's deadline of 4:00.
All right, there you go. Little Jordan Schultz, and interesting, very interesting. I would trade for him and figure it out down the road. Yeah, it's going to cost you $15 to $17 million annually if you want to sign Jalen Johnson. But he also may be one of the top 5 or 6 young corners in the game. He's very young. I mean, this guy was in the draft. What? Look it up. I think it wasn't he in the draft 2 years ago.
He was in that draft with Akuda, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking about a hell of a player and a young player. I would say he's 24. I don't know, maybe he might be, but I mean, we're talking about young players.
Yeah, he's 24.
24. So I mean, if you could get Chase Young and Jalen Johnson, you get 2 24-year-old players. I mean, that's inside your Super Bowl window. That would be exactly what the doctor ordered. Now, go ahead. I was going to say Adoree Jackson is also nice because he has a lot of speed. Adoree Jackson, I think, is probably more like a mid-round pick, 5th round pick.
This from Jace Graham says Tim Kawakami says 49ers are closing in on another trade, and I would not be surprised if that's a corner. Because if you look at last game, you can't have that happen. The Bengals are a really great team, but if that's what's going to happen against a good passing team, the 49ers are not going to win any games in the playoffs. They got absolutely torn up in the secondary by Joe Burrow. And they had some good coverages in that game, but they need to be better. They just need to be better. And you need Jalen Johnson is definitely a guy that can help you in that scenario. I mean, you're going to go against the Eagles who have AJ Brown playing like Megatron, and they have Devontae Smith, and they got a Julio Jones, and some people are talking about them acquiring DeAndre Hopkins. You need more in the secondary.
Yeah,
and that's
here's
why I
the
was
tweet.
surprised by the Chase Young signings, because I thought like that's not even their biggest need in my opinion. But yeah.
Well, the only thing is that you do. I mean, I agree. I mean, the only thing is that defense in the NFL, and you've heard me say this many times. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. It's a rush and cover game, and when I say that so specifically, what I mean is in that order. You can have coverage for days, but if you don't have rush, it doesn't matter. You have to rush the quarterback first. You got to cover him second. So in some ways, the rush always takes priority. Now, there are people that are saying, hey, if Joe Burrows of the world get the ball out in 2.4 seconds, isn't that neutralizing the rush? Yeah, but at the end of the day, you still got to have guys off the edge that can go hunt the quarterback. And I know what you're saying, though. If the quarterback's going to be able to get it out that quickly, a lot of times the best pass rushers are somewhat neutralized. But you gotta be able to cover. But to me, it's rush and cover in that order. You got to get your rush, then you got to have coverage. So the Niners needed both. And to me, the other move they could use Paris Campbell. There's a lot of talk the New York Giants are going to move him. You could probably get Paris Campbell for a 7th round pick. Paris Campbell can really run. We're talking about 4.3 speed. Shanahan said, my team looks tired. They look slow. And part of this slowness is at wide receiver. Yeah, Tim Kawakami says, NFL source, 49ers are closing in on another trade. I don't know who it is, but it seems likely they've got one more. So there you go. There you go. Tim's all over it. The trade deadline's coming up in 41 minutes from right now. All right, let's go back to the chat. We got a bunch of people who want to weigh in here. We got Kevin Wood, who says, we play Philly in the playoffs. CY,
Chase
who's
Young.
that? Chase Young will have played them 4 times this year. Not sure it means much, but an interesting stat.
Yeah, that is
No doubt.
interesting. I add one more stat to that. Per the I can't find it now. The metrics by Amazon, they have the 4th, the 49ers now have the 4th and 5th highest pressured defensive ends in Chase Young and Nick Bosa. So just add that to your statistics.
Yeah. I mean, just to add a player like Chase Young, I mean, this guy was the 2nd pick in the draft. The Niners have 2 defensive ends that were both 2nd picks overall. I mean, that's amazing. Dazza says, hopefully having ex-Ohio State teammates will help Bosa. He's also a former number 2 pick overall. Yeah, just said that. Absolutely. Way to go, Dazza. Ethan jumps in with this one. Got Chase for cheap. Can they still go after a cornerback? Ethan, it sounds like they are. Sounds like they're going after a quarterback. The Canthal kid, Kev, are you a communications major at Cal Poly? Are you going to get into broadcasting? You have a skill for speaking at your young age. Love the content as always, boys.
Well, thank you.
Kev's got bigger fish to fry than communications. Kev talks down on journalism majors. You're slapping journalism majors around like they're like don't even belong on campus. I've heard you talking about your journalism buddies. You don't have any. You've dissed them the way that Grant Cohn disses Brock Purdy. I mean, you're all over those guys, man.
I will say it is easier to get into the school if you do.
There we go.
I'll just say that, but I'm not gonna bash on them. They're smart guys and girls. They're smart.
Oh, look at you. That's not what you said off the air. You said they're idiots. It's amazing they're even allowed to walk the same hallways as us construction management.
That's the exact quote of mine.
You said that these people are morons. I don't even know what they're even doing here. It's almost like they get a free ride. I'm old. Greg says this just in. Larry is trading Grant for a pickle. No, I love Grant. Grant's great. Seriously.
Pickle.
Pig in a pickle. No, Grant's great. But that question yesterday of Shanahan, I mean, Shanahan just tossed that. Poggle says, please tell me they are still going after the Bears cornerback. I'll say it. They're still going after the Bears cornerback. But you know what? To me, there's the corners that I like. Adoree Jackson can really run, but he gets burnt sometimes. He's not the most fundamentally sound corner. He's got great speed, though. And like the one thing that you don't have with Oliver is I don't think Oliver can stay with the faster slot receivers.
He can't.
Yeah,
He got terribly burnt by Kevontae Turpin in that Cowboys game. That was the one blemish from that game, was that he got absolutely burned on it was like, I'm not sure what downage it was, but they were like on the 26-yard line or 30-yard line, and he just got burned from the slot.
Well,
So
what was your stat that you tweeted out that I retweeted yesterday or the day before? That was a great one.
Yeah. People love that stat.
What is that one?
Do you want me to put it up real quick?
Yeah, put it up. Put it up
Okay.
if you got it.
Uh,
Yeah, because it was on Oliver.
Yeah. This one. It's Isaiah Oliver has allowed 100% completion percentage in 4 consecutive games. Last game was 8 receptions on 8 targets, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. His season completion percentage is 35 of 40, 87.5%, which is the second worst in the NFL among cornerbacks. So, I mean,
100% completion percentage. I'm not an expert or nothing, but
I've been on that.
I would say that's generally not good.
No, yeah, I've been on that for a while because I've been checking, and it's like, oh, after that Cowboys game, it's like 100% completion percentage. I'm like, oh, that's not very good. And I've been tweeting it out each week, and each week I get a little bit less pushback. The first week it was like, that's not what he does, that's not his game, and I'm like, yeah, maybe he is a really great tackler, and he actually made some really good plays against the Bengals behind the line of scrimmage, and just good overall tackling, but if you can't cover, why is he playing slot corner? It's like he's a linebacker. Like, we should just move him to linebacker. Who was that safety a few years back that was like terrible in coverage but could hit like so hard?
Tart?
No, it wasn't Tart.
For the Niners?
Yeah, he played linebacker for some when people were injured sometimes. You know what I'm talking about? He played safety.
Oh, yeah. The guy who's a thumper.
Yeah.
From Florida.
Yep. I know exactly.
Hopefully the chat remembers. I loved him too. He was an absolute monster hitter. Who was the Niner 4th round pick from Florida a few years ago who just hit like a monster truck? But they basically played him as a linebacker. Marcel Harris. Look at that.
Marcel Harris.
You ask, you shall receive. Mason Kwok. Mason Kwok coming through. Look at that. That was quick. That was quick on Mason's part.
Yeah, he's smart. He's good.
Yeah, Marcel Harris is right. Let's see. We got this one from 69ers. He says, why is Luter on the PUP? Very mysterious. It is mysterious. He had a bone bruise on his kneecap. He looked good. I'll say this, though. I saw him in the minicamp. He looked great. I mean, not good, great. By the way, they're saying on ESPN there's trade interest in Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley on the market.
Jeez, Saquon Barkley?
Not from the Niners necessarily, but
no, I know that.
I wouldn't mind seeing Derrick Henry moved. I've got Tyjae Spears on my 95.7 fantasy league, which, by the way, I came from behind last night and took down Guru with a monster performance from Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm feeling very, very good about that.
About time he did something, huh?
Seriously. Watch out for Jahmyr. Bazzy Mian says Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are the best quarterbacks we will play this season, so we need to prove we can beat their level of play. And they get Hurts in week 13. Don't forget Hurts. Flav's in the house. Says 49ers got Young for a comp pick and get a comp pick for him if he walks and signs a big deal.
So they got him for free?
Basically, they're running him for free. Lynch playing chess. Still have a ton of picks. Go get a corner and speed wide receiver. I agree with Flav. I think Flav's all over it.
I don't know how the comp picks work, but is that actually how they work? Like, even though they traded for him, they still get a comp pick if he leaves in a couple months?
Yes, if he leaves and at the end of the year, they will get a compensatory pick for him. So
they basically, if they don't sign him, they're basically trading back in the draft and receiving Chase Young. This could be a Trent Williams level, like one of the greatest trades in 49ers history.
Seriously. Well, I mean, if Chase Young goes on to have the kind of career people envisioned for him when he was coming out of Ohio State, I mean, there's people that believe that Chase Young's better than Bosa.
Yeah.
I mean, literally better than Bosa.
I mean, he had that status coming into the draft.
He is a what they call a blue chipper.
Who went in front of him? Was it Burrow?
Yeah. Burrow and then Chase Young, right?
Yeah.
Burrow went 1, he went 2. Does that sound right? Dazza says if they can't get Jalen Johnson, what would be the consolation? Is J.C. Horn healthy and available? I think he's getting healthy, and I do think he's available. You know what? If I had to guess, I would say
JC Horn is good. He's
I'd
good.
say it. Yeah, he is good. JC Horn. JC Horn is in some ways better. He's long. He's really dominant. He just has a hard time staying healthy. Jalen Johnson had a pick six though a couple of weeks ago and is playing at a really high level right now. So that Jalen Johnson probably be the better get right now. JC Horn, I'd take him in a heartbeat. I like Adoree Jackson just for the speed element because I mean you got to have some corners that can really run. He can really run. I would say Sean Murphy Bunting might be a nice consolation prize from Tennessee if you can get Rand Carthon to pass you him. I mean, Murphy Bunting is a really solid NFL corner. You know, the only question with Chase Young is the knee. You know, I mean, how solid is the knee? How healthy is the knee? Is it does he have some kind of chronic situation? Is it is he having pain? I mean, you got to debate whether or not to sign him long term, all based on how the knee checks out and how he produces for you. But you got the rest of this year to kind of figure that out, and while you're utilizing his skills.
Yeah, I just want to point this out again. I know we've already talked about this, but
Yeah.
I saw another tweet about this, and I just have to bring it up again. Is how about John Lynch and the 49ers just not making trades because they're desperate, just making smart trades at good value. The Seahawks traded Leonard Williams for a second and a fifth.
They also would get a compensatory pick back for him in the mid-round.
A second though. And Leonard Williams, I would take Chase Young over Leonard Williams. And Sweat for an early second for Sweat, and Chase Young we're getting basically for free. I mean, I just think that they don't make trades because they need someone. They make trades at good value. I think the only trade that you could really say like, oh, that's a bad value trade that some people were saying was the Christian McCaffrey trade last year. But
what? It's a steal.
No, I know. I mean, looking after the fact, but some people at the time were saying, oh, that's a bad trade. He's injury prone. You're giving him I forget exactly what the picks were. It was like a second rounder and like a bunch of other picks, right? So
I think it was a second, a third, and a fourth. I'd have to look
I mean, all these trades are just good value. I mean, you traded away Trey Lance for a fourth rounder when no one thought you could get a sixth. So,
let's be honest. I mean, these draft picks, it's like in football, if you're inside your Super Bowl window, trading picks for players is a good deal. Why? Because picks have a failure rate. And if you don't understand that, you traded DeForest Buckner, you got a first-round pick. The pick was fine, but what has Javon Kinlaw turned into? He's solid, but he's not DeForest Buckner. So a pick is just that. Picks are blown all the time. There's a failure rate for all these draft choices. If you're trading for known commodities, why do you think the Rams pivoted a couple years ago? And they said, you know what? Screw all these picks. Give us Von Miller. Give us Jalen Ramsey. Give us Matthew Stafford. Let's take the for sure guys right now. They did it. They won the Super Bowl. What are you looking at?
Oh, people in the chat might just be trolling. People said we got Johnson, but I don't think.
Well, you never know.
I think people are trolling.
Trolling who?
Us.
Trolling, trying to get us to be all excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm checking Twitter.
Yes. Woo! Like
dude,
that.
The trade deadline.
We look like idiots.
It's heating up. I mean, dude, Kawakami's
don't troll us. Damn it.
Kawakami's tweet about like them potentially getting another trade has like over 500,000 views in like 15 minutes. Like people are locked in right now on the trade deadline.
Well, how about this? How about this? I'm gonna share the screen on this bad boy. This is an incredible one. Look at this. I'm gonna share the screen and throw.
Can you imagine? It's like a second rounder for Ahkello Witherspoon. It's like, oh,
that was another one. When I saw that. Look at this one. This is the quarterback pressure.
That's what I was talking about.
Josh Allen, number 1. Micah Parsons, number 2. Josh Sweat, who looked awesome against the Dolphins a couple Mondays ago or whatever it was, Sundays ago.
Jalen Johnson is not going to the 49ers.
Nick Bosa and Chase Young, 4 and 5 in the league. So you got 2 of the top 5. Where's he going?
He's staying. He's staying with the Bears, according to Schultz.
Oh, don't buy that. Don't buy that.
Or Rappaport.
You don't have reports like that 30 minutes before. That means somebody else step up with a big offer.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah, I do.
I don't remember that ever, that's being a thing, but
Well, I mean, you got 25 minutes more until the deadline. Mike Baker says, I enjoy Grant, but he needs you or Jesse for balance. Oh, thank you. I'll remind him next time I see him. I'll say, Grant, you're good and all, but you need me or Jesse to balance you out. See what he says.
balance is a good word. I like that. Balance. It's like have
Balance.
a healthy, balanced diet. It's like have a healthy, balanced diet of 49ers content.
What if I jumped in on Grant's question? Grant's like, are you going to bench Brock Purdy or not? I jump in on the back end. Or are you going to stay with Brock Purdy? Kind of jump in, just trying to balance it out there. Kyle, what do you think? No. Why?
When is the next 49ers?
That was like awesome. I couldn't believe that. That was an awesome awkwardness. If you like awkward exchanges during pressers, nothing was quite as awkward as that. That was just
like
premier. Oh, it was awesome. I wish I could have seen Kyle's face. I don't know. Was there video? Was there a joining video?
I never actually saw
No, it's a conference call. It was a conference call, right? There was no video.
It was on Zoom, right?
I'm not even sure. It was on Zoom.
You don't tune into those.
No. I like to go face to face, man. I like to go face to face. Sometimes I'll listen in, but I was doing something. I missed it. And it pisses me off because otherwise Grant and I would have even had a better live stream yesterday. I could have challenged him on it. Vibing_socialist says, what do you think of Richard Sherman as the defensive coordinator? Let's go, the faithful.
I don't know.
Richard Sherman has got a nice, comfy, cozy TV gig and a podcast.
Yeah,
whoever he loves in his life, he gets to spend more time with. The last thing that guy wants to do is then jump into the mix and be a coach. Coaches work 120-hour weeks. Coaches have a loose relationship with the people they love. You know what I mean? You're married to your job.
Yeah, I feel
it's like, hey, baby, I'll love you more down the road. Hey, son, daughter, I'll spend time with you in the off season.
I feel like there's a reason why like a lot of coaches that are ex-players aren't star ex-players. They're like just average NFL players, but they're still smart. I mean, because you can still be smart and just not have the athletic tools to play football. So it's like it's not like you have to be the greatest player to be the greatest coach, but those guys also have money.
Money in the bank. People are like Alex Smith as a quarterback coach. Why? When you got money in the bank and you got a family that you love and all the dysfunction that goes with, and you got to shoehorn your whole family into Friday night, with Friday night's our night. Yeah. You know why? You know what that means? That means the rest of the nights aren't your night. Think about that. Go to your wife and kids and say, hey, we're only going to have, tiny little quick conversations every other day of the week.
Yeah.
But Friday night for 3 hours, I'll devote my full attention to you.
Why don't we get real here? How much time's left? Like 24 minutes? 25 minutes until top of the hour. Who's a legitimate target outside of Jalen Johnson? Who do we got left on the table?
I say Sean Murphy-Bunting or a combination trade with the Giants for Adoree Jackson and Paris Campbell. Why? Because the 49ers need more speed on offense. And a guy like Paris Campbell would be the perfect jack of all trades. Paris Campbell runs 4.31. He was a great player at Ohio State. It hasn't happened for him in the NFL, but he still is burning fast. He's got pretty good size. He runs a lot of those short routes. He's great on all the gadget routes. I personally believe that Kyle Shanahan, if he got his hands on a Paris Campbell, could increase his value exponentially. Nobody thinks anything of Paris Campbell. You could probably get Paris Campbell out of New York for a 7th-round pick. So maybe you offer a 4th for the combo, Adoree Jackson, and you have them throw in Paris Campbell, and then you've got a 4-3-1 burner that you can run in the slot. Right now they got the big slot in Juwan. They were hoping Danny Gray would be that burner. Danny Gray can't get on the field. Danny Gray can't stay healthy. But so the Niners don't have that quick strike ability. You got to have everybody knows how fast your guys are. Kittle runs through you. Juwan runs through you. Debo runs through you. Their vertical speed is Brandon Ayuk. He's pedestrian as far as deep speed goes. I mean, What does he even run? 4.5, 4, maybe low 4.5s, 4.48, something like that. He's not a burner. You get Paris Campbell, he runs 4.31, and you'll create that extra space. You can use him on end arounds. I think Paris Campbell in a Niner uniform in this offense with Kyle Shanahan would be a freaking steal. And Adoree, what the Niners really need right now, they got to have more speed on the perimeter, speed at receiver, speed at corner. I think that's a primary need. I mean, if you could find a DJ Jones, a defensive tackle, that would be nice. I mean, if you could maybe get Cody Whitehair out of Chicago, now that you got an injury to Banks as a veteran guard, maybe that is something that they could look for. But I think that's kind of what your Sean Murphy Bunting, I think, would be a really nice corner get for them. I think that's what I'm looking for. I mentioned D'Onta Foreman just because it's pretty clear that Elijah Mitchell's regressed. They don't have a lot of confidence in TDP or Jordan Mason. And, I just I've never talked to Shanahan about it, but I just got a feeling that, as a former Texas wide receiver, he probably knows all about D'Onta Foreman. And D'Onta Foreman is another guy who's got really good speed at 225, 230 pounds, and it just hasn't happened. You use him you get him in here. I mean, I don't know if you saw him against the Raiders a couple of weeks ago, and was it week 7 or whatever it was? D'Onta Foreman looked good. I think he had 2 or 3 touchdowns. They got Roschon Johnson there. They've got other guys. He's totally gettable. Those would be the names I'd be looking at if I were them.
One thing I'm kind of disappointed about is that Ezra Cleveland got moved, and Ezra Cleveland is a great guard. And I saw Barrows talking about how he was a scheme fit, and they had interest in him back in
Where'd he go?
The 2020 draft. I'm kind of forgetting right now.
Minnesota. How about Joshua Dobbs went to Minnesota?
Yeah, no, that's a good pickup for them. A team that's a winning team that's actually trying to keep winning. I mean, he's decent, and it makes sense for the Cardinals. And they're getting what's his name back?
I thought they loved Joshua Dobbs.
I think they do too, but why am I blanking on his name? I'm blanking on his name.
Kyler?
Yeah, why is Kyler's coming back, right?
Yeah, Kyler's coming back.
And they're paying him a boatload, so they can't not.
And they also love Clayton Tune. I guess they just figure they can't move Kyler. But I thought they felt like they had something in Joshua Dobbs.
I was working on this tweet before you called me, right after Chase Young got traded. But Aaron Banks, I was looking him up on PFF, and he has been Burford. Burford has been horrendous according to PFF. He has the second worst pass blocking grade among guards. Second worst.
I know.
It's like 80th or like 90 of the 90 guards that have played over 100 snaps. He is the second worst.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the 49ers, their whole game plan is run the ball. I mean, football is about run the ball, stop the run. And the Niners aren't doing either right now all that well, at least lately. I mean, they're really not stopping the run. And that's why I mentioned a guy like DJ Jones. They're not running the ball. I mean, you saw Brendel get moved backwards by DJ Reader. You just read me the stats on Burford. They couldn't run wide against the Bengals. Bengals had too much speed. Niners couldn't get the edge, but they couldn't run in between the tackles. And if you can't run between the tackles and you can't get to the edge, it's kind of like game over. How do you can't run play action pass with Brock Purdy if nobody honors your run fakes because they don't believe in your run game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. 69er says, what number does Chase wear? He's going to have to fight Javon Kinlaw for 99. And if they televise that'll probably be record setting. Sean O'Leary says, here's a 20 spot. I'll take the other side on this trade. If our secondary can't cover and quarterbacks continue to get the ball out lightning quick, we will have the same issues. We needed secondary help, not another name on a heavily paid line. How about this, Sean? I'm not arguing with you. You need both. The Niners need the one thing about the D-line and why the D-line was more of a priority in my mind was just because you do have Samuel Womack. In my opinion, and I was there all camp, I thought Womack looked as good as any young player this summer. And I expect him to come back and play. And then Luter is a long-arm corner who, a lot of guys play zone and they struggle playing man-to-man. Luter for the South Alabama Jaguars played exclusively press man up on the line. I asked him this summer, I said, what do you feel most comfortable? Zone, off coverage, bump and run on the line of scrimmage, press man. Where do you feel best? He's like, press man. He didn't even hesitate. So, they've got a guy there who can play man-to-man, who's got long arms and has got good speed and great athleticism. Now, I don't know what the deal is because he had a bone bruise on the knee in July, and it's November almost, and he still has a bone bruise on the knee, and he's still on the PUP list. So there's got to be something there that we're not privy to. But if he's coming back, that's a guy. If you got Womack coming back, that's a guy. I think that's where. What do you got at defensive end? You got nothing. You got Robert Beal, who couldn't even play at Georgia and couldn't stay healthy this summer at all. So I'm kind of wondering if that, to me, that was why they needed another rusher badly. Who Died says, there's my contribution. Thank you, Who Died. Carl Zion says Kawakami just tweeted the Niners might be closing in on another trade per sources. Buckle up. We reported that as well. Thank you, Carl. Robbie439. In your opinion, why didn't the Vikings trade for Trey Lance? I'm starting to think that, well, first of all, because same reason.
Kirk Cousins got injured.
What's that?
Kirk Cousins he's talking about the Vikings? Kirk Cousins just got injured.
No, he means like right now because they just traded for Dobbs.
Oh, because he's not ready to win right now.
Yeah, that's the rub. It's the same reason I like Trey Lance, but I didn't like Trey Lance to beat out Brock Purdy this summer because Trey Lance is a prospect and needs a lot more tutelage before he's ready. They got a game on Sunday. He's not ready to play on Sunday. Josh Dobbs is more ready to play than Trey Lance. That's why they went with Josh Dobbs.
That was the fatal flaw of the trade talk with Trey Lance, was that everyone was trying to find a team that didn't have a quarterback, when in reality, he was only going to go to a team that already had a quarterback.
Right. That's a great point. That's why I kept saying the Jets would have been perfect because another year to sit behind. I thought they were totally disenchanted with Zach Wilson, and they had Aaron Rodgers there, and I thought, man, that'd be perfect. But obviously it didn't work out, and they're staying with Zach Wilson. Who Died says, what is Purdy going to do when Leo Adams Kev?
Wait, I'm not looking at the page right now. I'm trying to.
It says, what Purdy going to do when Leo something
when Leo
Adams,
digs Adam, etc. I think he's talking. Wait, what? Leonard Williams?
Oh, I got you.
I don't know what this shovel
with
is.
Seattle. Leonard Williams, Clark. Is that Frank Clark? Adams. He's talking about Seattle. He's gonna have to get the ball. They're gonna have to run the ball. They're gonna have to run the ball a little bit. We'll see. Purdy's beaten Seattle a few times now. We'll see. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I should be, but I'm not shaking in my boots over here about those two Seattle games. Shakobia Luckett says, does this stop Brock from throwing picks? That's the biggest problem. Brock throwing picks. No, but you know what? Here's the thing. Brock's got 5 picks. He's got 7 turnovers. People are saying they're calling for his job. Desmond Ritter's got 12. Jalen Hurts has 11. Josh Allen has 10. Patrick Mahomes has 9. Nobody's calling for their jobs. The quarterbacks throw picks. Unfortunately, they all came in the last couple games. You can believe that the league's on to Brock and that he's somehow, regressed, and you can be like who's that guy on Fox who said that he's turning into a pumpkin and striking midnight. What's the guy's name with the mustache? The shock.
Nick
Wright. You could be Nick Wright, and the clock struck midnight, and this guy's nothing.
Yeah.
Or you can be, hey, you know what? He was bound to throw picks. He was bound to lose a game or two. It was funny when he beat Dallas. Everybody was totally confident and comfortable, saying, you know what, guys, intellectually speaking, this won't continue. This guy is going to lose some games. This guy is going to throw some picks. And at the time, everybody was like, yeah, we know. But then amazingly, They lose a couple games and he throws a couple picks, and it's like, oh my God, they're losing games. He's throwing picks. It's like, didn't we all just say 3 weeks ago he's going to lose some games? He's going to throw some picks.
Joe, just to finish on my Ezra Cleveland comment, because I just finished the tweet and I tweeted it. Ezra Cleveland.
Look at you.
I know.
Tweeting.
I'm like a little mini Lombardi right now.
Look at you. You're doing it all back there.
No, but according to PFF, Ezra Cleveland's pass blocking grade, 12th out of 84 eligible guards. Run blocking grade, 10th. Burford's is like the second worst, so 83rd. In pass blocking, or Burford in pass blocking. Run blocking, Burford's 43rd. Aaron Banks in pass blocking is 68th and 68th in run blocking. So their guards are very, I mean, I actually liked Burford and Banks coming into this year, but they have been definitely underperforming in these categories. And then one other thing I'll say about this Chase Young trade, because that is the title of the stream. I'll stick with the Chase Young. But the one thing about this Chase Young trade, and I was kind of alluding to it in the post game, is that I didn't necessarily think that this 49ers defensive line was failing because of a lack of talent. Like, they don't have a lack of talent on their defensive line, and they really don't now. So now it's almost like Wilkes and Enforcer, for that matter, they are actually kind of like, they're going to be hyper focused. And if they can't get to the quarterback still, then what are we doing here? Because it's definitely not a lack of talent. It's definitely not.
You're right. This trade isolates the Niner defensive coaching staff.
100%. 1,000%.
You better deliver because you've got the talent.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the talent. Can you deliver with that talent? If you can't get home now, guess what? Go down to Kinko's and update the resume because you're out of here.
Kinko's.
Juan Mendoza. You been to Kinko's? He says,
No.
Jeremy Chin, please. I'd take Jeremy
Sure.
Chin. Yeah, but he's coming back in December. So he's gone for 4 weeks. You may not have him for the Philly game, but let's be honest. If you're going to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to stop Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce probably along the way. And Jeremy Chin might be the perfect solution to stopping those two guys.
And not to harp on the offensive line again, but that Eagles defensive line is incredibly good, especially interior with Jalen Carter, who's just a monster. And well, you know, the one person who has a really good PFF grade and the guy that you like is John Feliciano. So I would like to see him maybe get some more snaps, see how he's looking. I mean, he's a real starter.
Yeah. One of my solutions for jumpstarting the Niners was benching Brendel for Feliciano at center. And I think I would still do it after after Banks comes back in a couple weeks, if they can't run the ball in the middle. You have to be able to get push. You cannot be ragdolled by nose guards and waltzed 4 yards into the backfield. What I saw last week from DJ Reader on Brendel on that first drive, I felt like I was watching an NFL player playing FCS ball. You know, it was like, Jake, I get it. You're 280. You're not 310, 320. You're not a power guy. You're there for your brain and your athleticism, but you got to stand up somewhat. You just can't get owned at the line like that. I mean, that was a bad look in my mind. Kevin Jones says Ian Rappaport saying that Jalen Johnson's staying with the Bears. Is that posturing for pay? You know, we want more. You know,
we got 9 minutes to figure that out.
9 minutes to figure it out. I'll say this: as long as the Eagles don't get a lot, you know, Howie Roseman's the guy that scares me. He's hyper aggressive. If they get has Aaron Donald moved?
What do you mean?
There was a lot of talk the Eagles wanted Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald from the
Rams? Yeah.
Oh, geez, that would be fucking scary.
That would be scary. Gizmo Maltese, watch that language down there. I mean, come on. I mean, what the hell? You think this is? What do you think this is? I mean, you know, do I have to get mom in here? I mean, what would mom say if she heard you dropping F-bombs? Who would she blame?
You.
Yeah, me. Me. That's the truth. Kev drops F-bombs, I get blamed. If I drop F-bombs, I get blamed. If you drop F-bombs, I get blamed. If any of my kids drop F-bombs, I get blamed.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is your wife blames you. Gizmo Maltese says, is Chase Young good? Stats don't show a lot of sacks.
I think this year has really highlighted the whole dilemma between pressures and sacks. Pressures and sacks. And I've heard arguments for both. I've heard one saying, I don't give a fuck how many.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Look
Jesus.
at that. God damn.
No, but I don't give an F about pressures. You got to
Jesus.
sack the effing quarterback. And I've heard on the other hand, like statistical people saying, "Oh, well, actually, pressures are more indicative of sacks than sacks themselves." And da 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 da. So I don't really know what to believe on that. But I mean,
Can
I don't
we?
know. What
By
do
the
you- what do
way,
you
Kev,
think?
is there anything we can do to pump up the stream? We're sitting at close to 2,000. I'd love to get 2,000 in the room.
Everyone
We've got
drop a like.
what's that?
everyone-
Everybody, yeah. If everybody watching right now could drop a like and a subscribe, that'd be great. But if you could just for the purposes of building this up to 2,000 people in the room, if you could just drop a like. We're at like 1,950 people in the room right now. I'd love a 2,000. It would be
2K
would be
stream would be
sweet.
nice. That
a
would be
2K
nice.
stream would be, that would be sweet. Everybody hit the like and that help us get to 2K. Now it just dropped a little bit when I said that. Poggle says, is Feliciano worse than
Well, like,
Burford?
I'm out now.
I'm out. I'm not going to be part of this historic stream. Poggle, is Feliciano worse than Burford at right guard? Well, I mean, I asked Feliciano about him 3 weeks ago. I said, where do you feel most comfortable? I thought he said center. I think he feels most comfortable at center.
Isn't that what he played with the Giants?
He's built more like a center than a guard. He can play though any of the three spots inside. He played a lot of right guard, I believe. This is a wide-bodied guy. This is a run blocking guy, but he's also really assignment sound. He's tough as hell. He's smart. I mean, that was a great pickup. I thought that getting Feliciano in the offseason was a phenomenal pickup because the guy does cover you inside, and he's like a Coke machine. He's really broad. I mean, it's, as they say, the $5 cab ride to get around this guy.
I think I already said this, but in his 36 passing snaps, or in his 11 passing snaps at guard, he has the highest PFF grade. So
there you go. Well, in a small sample size.
Very small, yeah.
Enrique Sola says, who's gone next year? We have to pay the new guys.
I think Juszczyk makes the most sense. Sadly, I really like the guy.
I would say the three guys that are most likely to be gone of the big names would be Juszczyk, Kittle, and Armstead. That would be my guess.
Juszczyk, Kittle, and Armstead.
Of the guys who make bank, I think those would be.
Armstead's the only guy that made it to the quarterback on Sunday.
I know Armstead seriously played his butt off. We got this one from. Oh wait, that was just an Enrique one. Here's Justin. He says Justin Cheeseman. He says, what is with this regime? No cornerback, no O-line upgrade. Well, there is no O-lineman for the most part available. And by the way, what did they pay for Ezra Cleveland?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
I just don't, I mean, you're not going to get attacked. Their real need, they feel fortified inside.
Dude, they get
fifth round pick,
sixth
for Ezra Cleveland. Wow.
I mean, what are we doing? Like that he's a scheme fit. You liked him in the draft. It's a 6th round pick for a starting guard. One of your guards just got hurt.
That was a very high pitched hurt.
Fuck.
Mike Baker.
One of your guards just got hurt. Like what? Why would you not make that move?
Seriously. I mean, and Matt Barrows was suggesting Ezra Cleveland, in his article in the Athletic, a week ago, 10 days ago?
Yeah.
I thought that was a fit. I thought, if anything, Ezra Cleveland probably wouldn't move. So maybe they feel better about their O-line than we do.
Yeah.
Mike Baker says, didn't it feel like the last 3 games feel like the same game? Groundhog Day. We seem to make the same mistakes in all 3 games. Glad we got a bye. They look tired in all 3 games. Definitely.
The last two look more similar.
Yeah. I mean, the Cleveland game was a mucky game against a great defense. The ball, there was a little water on the field. That second quarter, it looked like Brock had a hard time handling the football. And that was just kind of an ugly game. And then they missed, Moody misses the kick. Then I thought the Minnesota game, Brock played well for 3 quarters, but the red zone turnover early, and then they couldn't stop Minnesota, and they could not get off the field on 3rd down. And then the last 2 weeks have been a disaster for the defense. This last week, I mean, they were lucky to be at 14-10 at the break. That should have easily been 24-10. But they missed a field goal, and they turned it over. The Bengals did in the red zone. The Niners were very fortunate. I mean,
Here's a
their
little-
defense had no resistance in the first half. None.
Here's a little. I want to comment on that, but here's a little update right now.
What do you got?
The Patriots are not going to be trading Uchi, Duggar, or Onwenu. What's his name? Onwenu.
The
Is that his name?
offensive guard.
Yeah, and then according to Schultz, Bills were making aggressive attempts to trade for the Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson, but it just didn't happen.
So Donovan Peoples-Jones has gone to the gone to the Lions. Rasul Douglas went to Buffalo, so Buffalo got a corner. Ezra Cleveland to Jacksonville. Joshua Dobbs to Minnesota. Sweat to the Bears. Chase Young to the Niners.
offensive lineman.
Second most trades on any day on a trade deadline day. We're 2 minutes and 4 seconds away from the
The
deadline.
Broncos are not going to be trading Jerry Jeudy
Okay, there you
or
go.
Sutton for that matter. And
I'm watching ESPN and Schefter's playing with his phone, looking
Uh-oh.
for it to update. We'll see. A minute. We're inside of 2 minutes.
There's an offensive lineman move in New York. The Jets are bolstering their offensive line, signing two-time Pro Bowler guard Rogers Safford III.
Okay. Not a big
Saffold?
Saffold, yeah, former
Yeah.
Ram, former Indiana Hoosier, I believe. We got this one from Daza. Let's see. Wait. Oh, wait, there it is. Let me put it back up there. He says, it's when Brock Purdy is throwing the picks, though, the last 3 games, when we're playing from behind and Brock Purdy has to make plays, he's turning it over. There's no question the last 3 games, he's turned it over in the fourth quarter.
I thought his worst game was that Browns game for sure.
Oh, definitely. And this last pick that he threw to Logan Wilson was awful.
Yeah, that was his worst pick. I think the Browns game was his worst game, but that Logan Wilson's pick, I was just like, okay, game's over. Like, no more.
Well, we're inside of a minute. That looks like if there's any trades coming down, they're going to be announced here. We'll see. Is it like the baseball trade deadline where if teams are engaged, maybe there's like a 15-minute rule.
It's not like when they decide to sign, they call Schefter first. So we might get a couple trades announced, 5 minutes after the deadline or something.
Right. Don Sandry says, got to get those kids off the IR and the PUP. They need them. Wasn't Isaiah Oliver a Wilkes want over those poached rookies? I believe, they never specify exactly, but I got the sense that Wilkes had a hand in Oliver being here for sure.
And that was the thing that you and me talked about on the phone once before or after the deadline, the cut deadline. And it seemed like they got rid of guys that were playing better for guys that they just signed.
Right.
And Oliver was a guy they just signed. And even though in camp he wasn't playing that well, and in the preseason he wasn't playing that well, it was like, we're going to stick with the guys that we signed over the guys that we signed in undrafted free agency. So,
well, that's the thing. They should have kept Deshaun Jameson.
Yeah.
Come on. Not that Jameson's a star, but he showed a coverage ability, and they cut him. And they kept 4, backups on the offensive line. I think guys that they probably – you tell me Nick Zakelj wouldn't have slipped through waivers? I think he probably would have. Killa Mig 831 says Bills got Rasul Douglas, the cornerback. Yep, that one we saw. So, overall, I would say very interesting trade deadline so far. The 49ers got a little help up front. We'll see if anything comes in here. But it's more than anything, I think the 49ers still need that third DB. Now, I like Samuel Womack, and I think Hicks just jumps in with, can't believe we didn't get a cornerback. WTF, John. So I don't know if we'll get any late breaking news coming out, but Chase, if you're tuning in now, Chase Young is a 49er, so they got help up front, and we went impromptu with our live stream here, but we're waiting on to see if anything else shakes down before we get on with the rest of our day. If this is all they've done, obviously it helps their defense up front. And now there's more of a focus put on the guys in the room. I mean, right now at corner, they have Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore, Isaiah Oliver. They have Anthony Brown, Ambry Thomas. They've got on the practice squad, they've got Kendall Sheffield, Shamar Jean Charles, and on the PUP, you've got Darrell Luter Jr., and you've got Danny Gray, who's on the IR, who's slated to return, or I should say Samuel Womack on the IR, who's slated to return at some point. So he's not on season-ending IR. He's on IR. So there's a chance he could come back. So, I mean, it's not like they have no internal options. Luter, Womack, Sheffield, who's very, very fast. Shamar Jean Charles is just, he's all right. I mean, he's nothing. I don't want to disparage him in any way, but he's not a starting caliber player. A corner definitely would have helped, but when you look at their options on the defensive line, they have none. They have absolutely none. They have Alex Barrett on the practice squad, Austin Bryant on the practice squad, and they've got Robert Beal. So what do you got there? You got Barrett, who's been almost a career-long practice squad guy. I like his motor, but that's his reality. Beal, who's a very, very raw player who only played, little bits here and there at Georgia. I don't think he even practiced more than 2 days in a row without missing a day this summer. And then you have Austin Bryant. And Austin Bryant, I think, is okay, but nothing to write home about. So, the Niners, if this is what we see and they don't get any corner help, this is consistent with how they look at defense. They look at defense as everything matters up front. It's funny. The Niners and the Seahawks totally look at their teams the opposite way. Pete Carroll is a, former defensive backfield coach, and he sees the defense from the front to the back. So, so what does Seattle do? They draft, they signed Jamal Adams, and they drafted Tariq Woolen, and they drafted Devin Witherspoon, and, they picked up Caillou Kelly at the end of camp, and they're big on their, they brought in Quandre Diggs, and they're thinking on the back end, and then they just kind of fill up front. They added Leonard Williams. They just added Frank Clark. They got Jaron Reed, Draymond Jones, Boye Mafe. They're just kind of, I'm not saying they don't care about their front, but they love the secondary and look at their D from the front to the back. The Niners put all their emphasis up front. Chase Young, Hargrave, Armstead, Bosa, trading for Randy Gregory, continuing to go D-line at the top of the draft every year. And then on the back end, what do they got? They got Tayshaun Gibson, who was a street free agent. Fonga was a 5th-round pick. Lenore was a 5th-round pick. Oliver was not a premier free agent. Jair Brown is a 3rd-round pick. Anthony Brown was a street free agent. Ambry Thomas was a 3rd-round pick. So, I mean, they don't necessarily invest the same draft capital on the back end like other teams do. So, it's just kind of the different way of looking at it. Gizmo Maltese says, is Steve Wilks following the same game plan as Saleh and D'Amico? It's a good question. I mean, there's a little bit more
I don't
blitzing.
think so.
Yeah, I would say there's a little bit more blitzing. I mean, they're getting pressure. They're not getting home. They're not getting sacks, and they're not getting hits on the quarterback. They're getting pressure, but they're not getting home. And you got to get home. You got to get home, especially, I mean, you saw Kirk Cousins in that quarterback video, was on, was it Netflix or whatever this summer? I mean, he literally was openly whining with an open mic last year as he was taking hits. There was no whining last Monday night because he wasn't taking any hits. He just sat back there like he was Joe Montana and carved him up.
And he's not a mobile quarterback either.
Right. I mean, and neither's Joe. I mean, Joe Burrow has a little bit more mobility, but 2 pocket passing quarterbacks. What did you say the numbers were for the last 2 weeks combined? Like 67 or
yeah, they were the quarterbacks against 49ers in the last 2 weeks, aka Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow, were throwing over 600 yards and or the defense. I gotta find it now, but they were completing over 83% or something crazy.
Yeah. It's like, 67 completions and 10 incompletions.
661 yards, 8.6 yards per attempt, like 84%. That's
Ron
terrible.
Holder,
That's absolutely terrible. That is bottom of the NFL defensive. Like, that's why I was trying to say this defense does not have a lack of talent. So why is this happening? And like, that's the root of the issue. I don't. This Chase Young thing it's gonna sound like I'm negative on this Chase Young thing. I think the Chase Young thing is great. I think he's a great player and he's gonna make this defense better. But I was tweeting out getting just one defensive end is kind of like putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole, because they have so much talent on this defense. They shouldn't even be giving up these many yards to begin with. That's just my take on it.
Well, there's the other thing too. At the beginning of the year, man, their defense sure looked better when Greenlaw was fresh.
Yeah, a lot of pressure being put on the linebackers. It seems like
Ron Holder would have been nice if they got a run stuffing D tackle. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for DJ Jones. The thing about DJ is he cost a lot of money. And they couldn't afford him once, and obviously they didn't feel like they could afford him here. Hicks says Young can join the rest of the D-line in getting neutralized. More D-line up front, but our defensive coordinator is thinking from the back. They got to get home. I mean, in some ways, I kind of feel like this move is, not that these guys aren't working together. They are. But in some ways, I feel like this move isolates Steve Wilks.
100%.
Because it basically says, hey, Steve, if you can't get home here, you can't get home.
Yeah. As silly as it sounds, as stupid as this sounds, if the trade is successful, if they can sack the quarterback, if they can't sack the quarterback, then it's a huge disaster. Not a huge disaster, but it means that there's bigger problems. There's bigger problems than just the talent on the defensive line. If they if they can turn it around and get sacks, then great.
Albert Breer has tweeted out. He says Nick Bosa and Chase Young had their time together in college cut short, so this has got to be really cool for the two of them. And the Niners can line them up with Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave and look out. And then he shows this video. Here is probably Bosa and Chase Young meeting at a quarterback.
Mute the audio if you can.
Yeah, hold on. Here we go.
At the same time.
It's two pretty damn good players right there. 97. Oh, look at Chase Young. There we go. Here's Bosa and Chase Young. Meet you at the quarterback. I mean, you're on one college team. You got two guys who both went second in the draft. This is why people, get tired of the college football playoff, because it's like Buckeyes, Georgia, Bama, maybe there'll be like one other team or two, Clemson. They get all the best recruits. Now A&M, but I mean it's pretty much the same teams get the best players over and over and over again.
It's not fair.
What's that? I mean, we can talk about it being unfair, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like if it makes the college football playoff kind of boring because it feels like it's the same matchups.
Yeah. Once the expansion happens, I mean that's exciting for college. And what's also exciting is the whole NIL thing, just because now players will play for 4 years. It's like a real thing now. It's like college is as important as the pros for some of these guys.
Ryan Max says they got Chase Young for free with a comp pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin, this is a good one too. Justin Cheeseman. He says biggest loss this past year was Emmanuel Mosley. I think it hurt him against the run and the pass. Mosley was so good against the pass. Blah says doesn't move the needle. I don't know about that. You just got Chase Young opposite Nick Bosa, and you're saying that doesn't move the needle?
It better move the needle. It better move the needle.
Yeah, I would say it moves the needle. But
if I had to make a prediction, my prediction would be this. I think that the Niners going into the trade deadline wanted to get a cornerback, and they also wanted to get an edge rusher. And my guess is that they wanted a cornerback more than they wanted an edge rusher, but the price for the cornerbacks was probably too high. It seems like the Jalen Johnson price tag was really, really high, because from these reports, it seems like the Bills were trying to make they were making a real push for him. And whatever that means for them, and they couldn't get him. That means that they were probably offering a high pick for Jalen Johnson, couldn't get him. And that's probably what happened to the Niners. They probably didn't want to give up how much it was going to cost.
We got this one from Kevin Henley. He says the Giants had a trade agreed with the 49ers for Adoree Jackson, but failed to report it to the league in time. What?
Says who?
Yeah, where did that come from? It's a troll account. Bazzy Mian says a troll account that reported the Giants had a deal with the Niners about Adoree Jackson. If you had said to me this morning, what did I think would get done? I thought the Niners would trade for Adoree Jackson and Paris Campbell this morning. Why? Because I thought the price was going to be totally right, and I thought that was a cheap way to get speed on the perimeter. They needed more pass rush and more speed on the perimeter. They got Chase Young, and Adoree Jackson and Paris Campbell would have represented speed on the perimeter at what I thought was going to be pretty reasonable price, like a mid-round pick, 5th-round pick maybe. And that's something I would have done.
I like Campbell. That's a good scout. Or that's a good pick by you. I wouldn't have thought of him, but yeah, he's a perfect guy. He's a route runner, speedster.
Well, and he's been pretty mediocre, to be honest.
And he's young. He's actually young. I thought he was an older guy. He's pretty young.
No, but he hasn't done. It's funny. He was great with the Buckeyes, but he just hasn't done it. The other move that I thought we might see this morning, but Mark Davis is kind of when he digs his feet in, is after watching Devontae throw his helmet last night against the Lions, I thought, man, maybe he would force his way out. But he never did.
I saw the report. There was no chance in hell he gets moved.
Yeah. Who was it? Was it Tim in our caller deal who basically he wanted Max Crosby?
No, that was Jay.
Was Jay?
It was Jay.
Yeah, Jay was going for Max Crosby, and we never.
I saw a good point about this. It seems like there's a lot of frustration about Nick Bosa, and even though he has the pressures, it's like you watch that Raiders game. Even though the Raiders got beat pretty bad, you could feel Max Crosby's presence in that game. I think you're muted.
Crosby was incredible last night.
You haven't felt the presence of Bosa at all this season.
No. Well, he makes some good plays against the run, but definitely not as a pass rusher.
Did you just drop the link in the chat?
I did. Okay. If somebody wants to jump in the last 15 minutes or so before we get out of here, we can take a video call. If somebody really badly wants to jump in,
I put it.
What's that?
I'll pin it in the chat so people.
Yeah. So if anybody we normally do our video call show on Wednesday night. We didn't do it last week. We had some things going on. We couldn't get to the video call.
We were going to do it last night. And then the power went out in San Luis Obispo because of fires.
Yeah. How you doing down there? How long were you without power?
Like an hour and a half. So I actually came back at 8:45.
Jimbo says 78 in San Luis Obispo today.
Yeah, it's kind of hot.
Really?
Yeah. It's really cold in the mornings, but it's getting pretty hot. I don't know
It's been cold up here in the creek today. Dazza says, how did Jimmy Ward go from being a potential lockdown cornerback 2 years ago and now is getting burned? Oh, he's talking about not Jimmy Ward. He's talking about Mooney Ward.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I mean, Mooney, he sometimes battles groin injuries. It's like he's definitely, to me, he's not quite a true number one. He's but he's a little bit better than a number two. I think he's kind of like a 1.5 kind of a corner. He's not really your number one guy. He really wasn't the number one guy in Kansas City. And I just, he was a great steal in the draft by the Cowboys. Great find. And he's a very solid player. But I think sometimes soft tissue injuries in his legs slow him down a little bit, and he's a B+
corner. He's a B+ corner at this point. He's very good, but he's not elite. He's not an elite corner. He's not going to shut down the receiver to 0 yards like Jalen Ramsey or some of these other guys.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Do we get all these here? Let's see.
The super chats.
Oh, yeah, we got one more here down here on the bottom. Manuel Borjas says Wesley Steinberg, a New York Giants insider, reported that the Adoree Jackson news.
Let me look it up.
So the
let's see.
paperwork wasn't filed in time. Is that what we're getting? Is that what we're getting?
His name Wesley what?
Wesley Steinberg. Wesley Steinberg. We got Jason Landa there. Oh, we had Jason Landa. We have Andre. Andre,
What's up,
how are you?
guys? What's
up?
dude?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. I mean, look, we got Chase Young. That's a massive freaking. I don't want to say the F word. I don't want to get you in trouble. A massive freaking move. You know
If
what?
my
Ever
wife
since-
comes in here saying Andre's swearing up a storm,
Wait,
Larry, and he's
ever
only
since you
swearing
said
up a
that-
storm because he watches you.
Ever since you said that, Kev can't stop saying the F word.
I know, seriously.
Can you guys see that?
What do we got?
This is it. Wesley Steinberg. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
So that's the
Giants had
tweet.
trade agreed with the 49ers and Adoree Jackson, but failed to report it to the league in time. That sucks. That's like the Terrell Owens situation.
That's unbelievable.
Somebody's getting their ass fired for that. But
What?
can't the Niners report it as well? We'll see. Is that? I wonder what the deal was going to be.
That's unbelievable. That's
That is-
crazy.
that's bad.
That's bad. Maybe it was Wilkes. Maybe he just didn't make the call. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just blame Wilkes. Just blame Wilkes
It's
for everything.
upsetting because that was their need. You know, that was what they needed.
That was their
Yes,
biggest
I
need.
agree.
And
I
you
agree.
know, if I see Isaiah Oliver out there again, I'm gonna get really nervous and frustrated because I mean, look, I'm sure the guy is a great guy, but he's not cutting it. I mean, what they were 8 for 8 against him, in the slot or just being out there in general. He's not fast enough to keep up with the faster slot receivers when they move. When they were moving, what's his name? The receiver from the Bengals. When they were moving him around,
Chase,
I was like,
Chase, Jamar.
yeah, Jamar Chase. I was like, dude, if they put him on Isaiah Oliver, he's going to get toasted. And that was the area they needed to improve on. You know, if they could have gotten like a Jalen Johnson and moved Diamador Lenore to the slot, that would have been huge. With Chase Young, my God.
I know.
To be
God,
fair, Adoree Jackson, like I haven't looked that much into him, but I don't think he's not as good as Jalen Johnson.
No, but he runs 4.31. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
the guy's got 4.3 speed, and that's
He's
part of their
20.
issue is they're not fast enough on the corner.
He's 28. Or 29. Or let me see.
He's a
Everyone's
return man
asking-
too. He's a great return man. I loved Dory Jackson at SC, man. He was
It says
big
he
time.
ran a 4.4. I think you're thinking of Deontay Banks, or maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Well, 4.4. I mean, the guy's plenty fast. That's what he was kind of known for at SC as being a burner. He was a killer return guy, and he had a big time speed. And
Everybody's
I
making
think
comments about my background about Batman. I have a YouTube channel. That's why I have this whole background set up. This is not just me hanging out by myself.
Andre's just Andre's just that guy.
Yeah, if you want to follow my channel, it's Nick.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Andre, tell everybody about where they can find your channel because I know you got your own channel. Does it stay right there?
Yeah, so my channel is Nicotina Show, or you can find it on as Nicotina on YouTube. What's up, Kev?
There it is. There, I made it bigger, so now Andre's the star of the show. Nicotina_show.
Yeah, that's my Twitter handle. And then if you go on YouTube under Nicotina, you'll find my show on there as well. It's about pop culture, comics, movie news, all that stuff. But I'm a huge sports fan, and having Larry Krueger on YouTube now is like the greatest thing on earth. For me, at least. I'm like, this is awesome. And then the crossovers you do, love it, dude. With Grant, with Damon.
Coach. Yeah. You got to catch me on Saturdays with the coach. He's really good too. He's
Oh
a star.
no, that's a good one too. I like that
Yep.
one. Kev, especially. Man.
Kev on Wednesday nights.
But look, just to break this down, we got Chase Young, a number 2 pick in the draft, a stud defensive end. I mean, this is not just like, damn, we missed out on a DB. I mean, this is big news. I mean, he's going to apply more pressure to the quarterback, which is going to force the quarterbacks to get rid of the ball faster. But the problem that we're having is that every team seems like that's their plan is like, okay, get rid of the ball fast, get rid of the ball fast. And our DBs are just not able to stop them. But what effect do you think this has on the Niners defense, Larry?
Well, I mean, anytime you can put together a rush, it's going to help you. It's going to help you, and this will help them. I mean, to me, the guys opposite Bosa have not held up their end of the deal. Everybody knows, if you watch my channel, I like Drake Jackson. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I've done a number of interviews with him. I think he's a great young kid, but he's not getting it done. He's not getting it done right now.
He's not.
And I like Randy Gregory, but the Gregory impact has not been enough. So they needed another guy. What
But
this
what's-
does, and it always Drip makes a good point here. Manuel Borjas says Jackson's better than Oliver. But where's the always Drip says, when Womack comes back, you put Womack back in the outside. Yeah. When Womack comes back, I start him outside. I put Lenore in Oliver's spot, and I tell Oliver, you're riding the pine.
Yeah. When
we
when
got
does he
this-
come back? When is he coming back?
I don't know. Probably in the next couple of weeks. Robert Marquez says Niners were talking to Washington for 3 weeks. They wanted Montez Sweat. Didn't want to give up the second-round pick for him. They wanted the cornerback from the Bears. They couldn't get Jackson for a third-rounder. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hey, Andre, let me jump because we've got is it Jacque in the
Hey.
Yep. Hey, Andre, we'll let you go, brother. But
All right, man.
everybody check out Andre on YouTube. He's fantastic. There you go. Appreciate you. And don't be eating all of our food back in the green room. And whatever you do, don't trash the place. All right, we bring in. Is it Jacque?
It is not Jacque. You're too fancy. It's
Jack.
simple. Just Jacques.
Jacques.
Yeah, just
Like
simple.
Jacques Cousteau.
Yep, or Jacques Vaughn.
Jacques Vaughn. There you go. Kansas point guard. What's
Yeah.
going on, Jacques? Where are you calling from?
Chicago.
Nice.
Do you got like a little podcast or something? You got a whole setup.
I do.
What's your podcast? Well, tell people about
It
it.
is called. It's on YouTube at the Strain On Society.
Okay. What do you
it's
talk?
so
Is
regular.
it sports or is it culture? Is it what do you
We talk about
mix?
everything that happened the week prior. Sports, entertainment, politics, the whole shebang.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, we just got opinions. That's all. We loud mouth.
What time? What time? I mean, people can catch it on their own time, but what
You
time of the
can
day
catch
do
on
you
your
go
own time,
live?
but we go live on Wednesdays at about 9:00.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
Central Standard
9
Time,
o'clock
9
Central, so 7 o'clock West Coast.
Yep.
So are you a Niner guy? I see the Niner hat.
I am a Niner guy. I have been a Niner guy forever. Painfully.
Nice.
Well, it was better. It was better. Around about 8th grade, it was fun.
So what do you think of Chase Young coming to the Niners? I mean, the price seemed like it was pretty right.
Trace Young's a great player. I do not see where he fits in with us.
Really?
I don't. Great player all the time, good, but look at how many great players, quote unquote, we have on the D line. We cannot put that much money into the D line and still field a adequate defense. You're gonna pay Chase Young next year. Now, I'm not too familiar with his contract, but Chase Young's a pretty good player.
$17 million, right around there. I think you're gonna have to pay.
About 17 million. Nick is at quarterback money. Hargrave is crazy. Armstead is still on the books. That's the 4 starters on our line taking up the lion's share of our cap for our defense. We can't afford a cornerback. Not a good one.
Well, they're gonna have to. This is why they shouldn't have cut Jameson, because they should have every cheap available corner. They should have been all over. And we'll see about Womack and we'll see about Luter, but now there's a little pressure on Womack and Luter to come back and contribute.
But those are salvage guys. Those are guys that you want to see something good out of because you think they have something left in the tank. You think they have more to offer. But they're not top tier talent at the position. They're not A1 talent. We have 2 A1 talents at the defensive end position. We have an A1 talent and a what do you call
Lenore?
linebacker.
Oh, Greenlaw.
Fred?
Greenlaw. What do
I
you
think
call him?
I
Is
think
he
Greenlaw's
A1
an
talent?
all-pro talent. I think he's an all-pro player.
He's either
But he's
all
hurt. He's
pro
banged
or-
up.
or right up under there.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
like him. I think that they have 2 at that position in the linebacker core. Then you go back to the secondary and you have all C-D talent. That's why they get
Well,
these
I don't
guys
know.
later
I mean,
rounds.
that
He's
might
pretty
be a
low.
little.
Yeah.
That's pretty low. I mean,
Comparative-
Afonga, I think at times makes some really good plays. He's fallen off some tackles. He's got great instincts to attack the mesh point in the run game. So there's potential for Afonga, but he's got to stop falling off tackles. And Gibson's a great deep ball center fielder, but I don't know that he gives you anything else. To be honest, I'd like to see a bit more Jair Brown.
I think
I really
D'Amico. I think D'Amico was a lot better at timing those blitzes with Hufanga. It felt like Hufanga last year was able to effectively get to the quarterback when he needed to get to the quarterback, and this year it's like he's blitzing and he's not doing anything.
Right.
It's not effective, obviously.
It's definitely not effective, but your blitz is only going to be as effective as your secondary is able to hold those receivers.
Exactly.
Doesn't it seem, Jock, like they're also their front and their coverage are not tied together. It's almost like they have a disconnect between their coverage and their front.
Well,
it's not they put the rush on, but then you know what? The coverage is so soft that the quarterback's not really feeling any pressure because he can just sit there and go, "Oh yeah, you're rushing me, but 3 guys are open and I choose this guy." You know,
is it a disconnect, or are the two fronts or the two sides of the defense unequally yoked?
I just feel like the defensive backfield speed, that dial has to be turned up. They've got to play faster. They really have got to play faster and close faster.
You can't get that speed in the 4th and the 5th round.
Oh, I know. But the thing is, I like Womack. I like Lenore. I just don't like Oliver. I think Oliver is destined for the bench.
Yeah, definitely. He's a bench player. He's a come in, spell you, maybe a series or 2 here if a guy goes down for a minute.
Right.
He can come in. He can handle that. He can handle that. But
he's matchup. Yeah, he's a matchup guy.
He's a matchup guy. We don't have an actual stud at that level on our defense.
Oh, I hear you.
Missing K'Wan Williams.
Would be the best thing for it, but he doesn't cover.
No, I know. No, you're right. They needed a Jalen Johnson. They needed an Adoree Jackson. They needed somebody who was a little bit more quick twitch in the secondary, and they still need that player. Hey, Jock, let me jump because we got some people in the green room that want to jump in here. Tell people again where they can check out your show, man.
Okay, thanks for having me again. Don't forget, check out the Strain on Society podcast. It's at the Strain on Society. Check us out: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook if you're still on that, Twitter, all that. The Strain on Society.
Jock, thanks for jumping in, man. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
There you go. Big Mo Easy is in the house. What's up, Big Mo?
What's up, gentlemen? How you guys doing today?
Man, usually you're standing outside your place and your old lady's locking you out and saying, keep that Krug show on the outside. Uh-oh, Big Mo, you froze on us.
Well, we're going to have to go back to him.
All right, Big Mo, we'll do this. We'll put Big Mo back in the up, and our other guy just jumped off. Or did we execute our? No, he just dropped off.
Did we execute him?
We didn't execute the guy. Wait, Big Mo, and then we'll go back to Big Mo here.
I don't know if it's gonna work.
Big Mo, you're there we go. We got you back. You froze.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing today?
Man, we're doing good. You look like you're kind of chilled out, and you're in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas. Yep, in Vegas doing the thing. Normally I'd be at home when you guys get on the show, but I'm actually out and about today. But man, I wanted to call in because I saw that you had the link available, and oh man, I'm so disappointed with this pickup, man. I'm disappointed with this pickup. Very disappointed. Very disappointed because we do not need a D lineman. We do not need an F&D lineman, Kyle. We don't need an F&D lineman, John. We need a slot corner. Hello. Jesus. Man, bro, I don't know what we're doing, guys. I don't know what we're doing, bro.
Well, hey, they did need they're not getting home at all up front. So they do need more rush. You could argue they needed a slot corner more. But as I mentioned to Kev, and I was saying before, Big Mo, I mean, they do like Womack. Womack was really good this summer in camp. I'm not just saying that for my health. I mean, he really was good this summer. I really think Womack can contribute. Now, I don't know about Luter because he's a rookie, and I don't know what's going on with that knee. But if those guys are slated to return, and it's a big if, I think you got 2 guys right there that can play. So, maybe that's why they ultimately, we got this super, by the way, from Matthew Rowley. who says reports on the Niners agreed to a trade for Adoree Jackson. Giants did not report it in time. The Giants once again ruining my football life. So yeah, I mean, so it sounds like they wanted the corner and they just couldn't get it done.
Yeah. That's so tough too, because
Yeah, my be bad guys. Oh, so let me try to call back in.
All right,
Yeah.
there you go. Big Mo struggling with his setup. All right, let me read a couple more supers. We got this one from Fish and Chips. Salary cap, we're $38 million over on 43 players in 2024. Khalid Rice says, y'all missing it. Now we can play more zone. I mean, you know, the Niners have played traditionally a lot of zone. All right, we go to Rafa. Rafa, how are you, man?
Hey, doing good. How's it going, fellas?
Where are you calling? Where are you calling in from?
Actually, I'm up in Northern California, way out in the boonies near Reno and Susanville, California.
There you go. I've been up
and,
there.
by way of San Luis Obispo. So.
Oh, you a Cal Poly guy?
No, I'm actually a Humboldt State guy, but my wife's she worked at Cuesta. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's a good area, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's. I hope you're enjoying it out there.
Yeah, it's pretty nice today.
What are your thoughts? He's enjoying it enough where he's not making his bed.
The bed is made. It's just there's some stuff on it. I mean,
I was tripping because I thought, man, that's a lot of blankets for San Luis Obispo right there.
Yeah, I don't.
You're gonna have to flip some of those on Marketplace.
Everyone that was mad at me for having a bunch of stuff right here, I hope that they know it's just there now. It's not off the ground. So just letting everyone know.
All right,
it's not cleaned up.
I like that Faithful to the Bay though in the background. That's nice. So Rafa, what do you think of the Chase Young ad? I thought there would be like overwhelming, like way to go, John Lynch, way to go, but man, there's kind of a lot of people that are bent about the lack of a slot corner.
Well, you know, I'm Portuguese, so I'm a cheapskate, and I'm a big.
I haven't heard that one before.
I'm a big value guy, and I love Chase Young. I love the addition. The value is good in regards to the pick, and then the fact that we'll be able to get a comp pick later if he walks. But with that all said, if you look at how we've been losing the last 3 games, I mean, the ball's been getting out quick by the quarterbacks.
Right.
So, I mean, the NFL has become so specialized. You know, the folks are so smart nowadays in how they strategize. And so we have this huge glaring weakness at nickel corner, you know, in the slot. And there's nothing that we've done thus far to mitigate that issue in terms of what Oliver brings to the table. And yeah, we can move Demo there. We can bring in Womack when he comes off IR or Luter. But at the moment, you know, it's still a very glaring weakness. Any kind of shifty receiver is going to be a problem. And if we have a quarterback,
you saw it with Jordan Addison 2 weeks ago against Minnesota. The shiftiness that that nobody could hang anywhere close to him. They had to just grab him and you know take penalties.
Yeah, and I'm a big college football fan as well, and you've seen that with like the University of Colorado. They played a few games. There was a bunch of hype around them, but they were just getting killed on the same types of routes, slant routes, crosses over the middle. And I feel like with the 49ers right now, it's a similar situation. You've got this beast of a team that's capable of so much, yet they have this weakness, like this Achilles tendon, that if it gets hit, there's a problem. And right now it's, you know, in the slot. And I think they really have to do something about that, because as fans, I really enjoy watching your channel and seeing Grant and all the other folks that do the work.
Appreciate that.
But the truth of the matter is, this year it's Super Bowl or bust. That's the standard for this year. Every year is a different label for how we go about thinking of things as fans. And in regards to that, you know, our expectation is, okay, if there's a hole, it needs to be plugged. And we're going into a bye week, and it's going to be fun to see how the discourse goes with your channel and with everyone else's. You know, this is the opportunity to plug that hole. That slot position has to be fixed, because Oliver ain't it. Because he's it in regards to, you want to have a 10-7 season, you want to get maybe to the NFC Championship game, but that's not what the expectation is. It's Super Bowl or bust. Therefore, you've got to go all in. And I'll say another thing.
Yeah.
We have 11 picks for next year. 11 picks. We don't have 11 roster spots for rookies next year. Why aren't we being aggressive and packaging those picks to bring in some high quality players in the depth? We've been told all offseason, There's so much depth on this team. Well, guess what? Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel go down, and all of a sudden we ain't physical on that same level anymore. We ain't to that degree of physicality the last 3 games. And so we aren't as deep as we think we are. And it's going to be an interesting situation because, you know, a lot of luck is going to have to come into play the second half of the season. We're going to need guys to stay healthy because if a handful of guys go down, that Super Bowl dream is going to be that divisional championship loss or divisional round nightmare. You know, it's
that's the other thing too is the offense you could say has been struggling without some key guys. The defense has 0 injuries, 0. So if you lose a guy in the secondary and there isn't someone to step up, you're talking about that's a big deal.
Wow, it's being widely reported here, too. Everybody seems to be quoting this. The Giants had a trade agreed to with the Niners for Adoree Jackson, but failed to report it to the league in time.
I would say that's a bit of a blessing in disguise.
I think you're not an Adoree Jackson fan. Well, you know, he if you look at the numbers, he was not grading out particularly highly.
Yeah, you know, I think sometimes it's like anything in life. We want to try something to see if it works. But the reality of the situation is we've got to play chess and not checkers. And we've got to get guys in there that know exactly what they're doing and what we want them to do. So I would say, to folks like yourself and Grant who have, the ability to ask, Kyle and Steve questions, I'd say like, hey, I want to hear what you think about Womack and Luter in regards to them actually playing this season and totally. what they are actually going to bring to the table. Because y'all are now sold on Oliver and this cornerback setup, and all you got is your practice squad and the waiver wire. Like, tell us as the media and the fans, what is Samuel Womack going to bring to the table? What is Darrell Luter Jr. going to bring to the table? Because we know what these 3 guys that you're rolling out there right now are doing.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Oliver is not going to be able to stand up against the shiftier slot receivers. I think when the Niners play the Rams and Oliver has to defend Cooper Kupp, I think Cooper Kupp is just going to absolutely carve him up because Cooper Kupp's got the ability with double moves and working back to the quarterback. You got to have body control to mirror him up and down the field. He can't do it. It's got to be Lenoir. And that means Lenoir is your best outside corner, but he's also your best inside corner. And, the old coach used to say the key to pass coverage is pass coverage. In other words, there is no key to pass coverage. You got to have dudes. You got to have guys who can mirror. So, and guess what? None of them, typically wind up on the street. Now, I did take a deep look at everybody's practice squad. Wilkes had Keith Taylor, the big 6'4" corner who played, I think, at UW in college. He had him last year in Carolina. He right now is on Kansas City's practice squad. I might go there and see if I could sign him. He's a 6'4" corner, but he's got better movement skills than Oliver. But man, there's slim pickings. Now, you sometimes will see players after the deadline released. So maybe there's a chance that somebody shakes free. But today was a huge day. Today was an absolutely huge day. I think the good news from today is that the Eagles didn't get another player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the good news. If they had gotten Jalen Johnson, that would have been a kick to the gut.
Yeah.
After they just added Byard in their secondary, if they had added one more DB, that would have been a kick to the gut. If they had gotten a big-time linebacker, there was a lot of talk that they were looking for another linebacker, that would have been a kick to the gut. The fact that they only got Byard and Roseman wasn't able to make a move, that's nice. Now, I like Chase Young. I'm excited for what he looks like. You got to remember this. Kasarik has made Ebukam and Menahue and Jordan Willis and Cleveland Farrell and some of these guys, Arden Key. He's made guys that are just kind of ordinary look special. What can he do with Chase Young, who's got extraordinary ability, second pick in the draft kind of talent, real blue chip talent? What can he get out of Chase Young? So I'm excited by that, but I would have been a whole lot more excited if they could have added, some cornerback depth, because I think they're a man short back there. Let's just say this: if and it's a big if Womack plays the way I think he can play, if Luter plays the way I think he can play, and those guys both come back healthy and are ready to contribute, they'll be okay. But that's a big if.
You mind if I make a little goofy point about Kyle Shanahan real quick?
Go for it. Sure. Go for it.
Alrighty. So my background's in psychology. I do consulting and I work in best practices. And one thing I noticed about Kyle, man, is he's got some OCD going. He has a habit of like sticking to like his comfort zone, and he will not relent from that. And look at the situation with Christian McCaffrey right now. He's on pace for 291 carries. His highest carry season was 287 in 2019. The next 2 years, he missed a gobload of games for Carolina. You got a guy in Jordan Mason averaging 6 yards per carry. The guy's a beast. The guy can be used on short yardage down. You got a guy in Ross Dwelley at tight end who's a reliable pass catcher. You got a rookie back there. I'm at a loss. Braden Willis, that put in a little package, put in a 2 or 3 play package, just some sort of gimmick play to just try him out. Sometimes you got to try people out. That's how we found out about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy wasn't some revelation. We saw him and we said, wow, like in preseason, he makes some nice passes and guys were like, hey, he's confident. But it wasn't until he got on the field that potential was realized. And I feel the same way about some of the guys on this roster, like, Mason and, some of the other backups.
Especially Mason. I mean, Mason's 235 pounds, runs hard, delivers punishment. And you saw in that 26-yard run, that was a spectacular play. That was not just a wide open hole that he ran through. He made a jump cut at full speed, and 2 steps later, he's at full speed at 235. And when a guy gets at 230, 240, and he gets rolling like the way that guy rolled, nobody wants to get in front of that guy. I'm shocked they haven't used him more.
6 yards per carry on obvious rushing downs. So when he's in the game, folks know he's probably going to get the ball. And, so it's, yeah, like, is it going to, is the endurance of putting him in going to last forever? But at least to give CMC some respite. And I liked what you said the other day about putting CMC in the slot. Yeah. Have some more imagination. It's the regular season. This is where you put stuff on tape, trial and error, and see, hey, what can we actually do? Because this is stuff that we can incorporate strategically in the playoffs, because this is a Super Bowl or bust team. So if anything, experiment. And now that you're 5-3, have a little fun with it, Kyle.
And I would say this, if Kyle asked me, and he doesn't, but if he did, I would say, Kyle, it's not about any one thing. It's just about get your talent on the field. Get your best players on the field. Yeah. McCaffrey is one of your best players, but guess what? JP Mason's really exciting. Get JP Mason on the field at running back. Get McCaffrey on the field in the slot as flexed out as a receiver, and see what you can make happen. Throw him the ball a little bit. Don't let him take those hits behind the line of scrimmage. Get him out in open spaces. Run him on some short routes, and maybe even isolate him against the backer and see if you can make a play down the field with McCaffrey. Throw it to him down the field a little bit. I'd like to see it, and I really believe in Mason. And I don't understand the obsession anymore with Mitchell. I know that Mitchell is a little bit more dependable, and he doesn't put the ball on the carpet ever. And I understand that there's real value in that. But so what? The other guy's 230 pounds and looks like a poor man's Marshawn Lynch. And we're almost at Thanksgiving and you haven't used him.
I agree. The thing with Mitchell too, with the injuries and stuff, sometimes that stuff, if you're hurt and you're missing games, you're taking big hits. I mean, I'm not with the guy, but that can get in your head, because you see that stark difference in his yards per carry from last year to this year. And I think one of the things with the 49ers that I'd like to see more, and that they're a great, front office and franchise, but being extremely aggressive in the draft, being extremely aggressive on the field, create what I would call true depth, where you have this transcendent depth where you have 11 picks next year. You've had all these picks in the past. Go out and stack your roster and play the guys, so that way they're building confidence, they're building resiliency. So when they do get their number called, they're ready to walk in there and go. Yep. Look at a guy like Danny Gray, who's on IR. Danny Gray's probably sitting on IR right now. By now, he's probably healthy. I mean, you would think he might be ready to at least practice or go. He's probably thinking they're just going to IR me for the rest of the season because I'm not safe to put in, because Kyle might not trust me because I haven't gotten the reps.
Well,
But
here's the thing. I think Danny Gray's got to show that he can stay healthy, but he's a weapon. He's a weapon. Hey, Rafa, we got to jump, but we appreciate you, man.
yeah, thanks for the time, guys. You guys take care.
Have a great
Thanks,
Tuesday.
Rafa.
Big Mo
I gotta
Easy.
jump soon, so
I know. Let's just finish with Big Mo Easy. Big Mo, Kev's got to hit class. He's got
What's
all
up,
those. He's got all
guys?
those. He's got all those co-eds he's got to chase down. So let's get Kev make his bed and get on with his day. But Big Mo, we wanted to get you back in here before you, so you can make your point. Go ahead. Now that
Okay,
you're
so
back
real
inside.
fast. Like I was saying, man, bro, why are we picking up D linemen when we got one of the best D line in the league, man? Like straight up. Like the guys aren't playing up to their potential right now, but the names on their back of the jerseys, man, says it all. It's like, dude, we have an all-star D line. Why are we picking up D linemen? We do not need a D lineman. We need cover corners. Because let's be honest about this stuff, right? In the Super Bowl, when we went up against the Chiefs, man, Nick Bosa was getting held nonstop, man, and they weren't calling SHIT. They weren't calling nothing. You know what I'm saying?
You know what this is about, though? This is about the fact that Cleveland Farrell is too slow to get to the quarterback. And Drake Jackson, I think they kind of question the work ethic there. He's not getting to the quarterback. And Randy Gregory can do it, but he's more of a combination guy that has to play in a rotation. They felt like they needed another guy. And, here's the bottom line on it. Why run if you're running a marathon, you're not going to run 22 miles and not run the last 4. Right? If you're gonna, they've built this great defensive line. They're fully invested. Now they feel like they got the whole thing covered, and now it's on Chris and Steve to get it going. They also, I think, really like Womack and Luter, and I think they feel like those guys are coming back and are going to contribute. But Big Mo, we got to jump because Kev's got to jump. But I
Hey, no worries,
appreciate you,
man.
man.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Hey, you guys gonna do it tomorrow night or what?
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be back tomorrow night.
Oh, awesome, man. So yeah, I just catch you guys there, man. I was trying to get my points in earlier, but I don't know what was going on with my connection. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys for always having me on. And pig in the pickle, baby.
Big Mo in Vegas. And I'm old Greg says, why are people upset about getting Chase for free with the comp pick? I don't think they're upset about Chase. I think they're upset they didn't get the corner. And it sounds like Lynch was on the verge, Kev, of getting the corner. And everybody's reporting that they had it done and then, boom, didn't happen.
Apparently, it's a fake account that said that, though.
Okay, so maybe that's not true. Maybe
So
that's
I don't really
not
know
true.
what to believe. But I would not be surprised if they still were looking for a corner.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean.
Well, you mean on the street?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think they still probably were trying to make a trade for a corner and just didn't work out. That's my guess. I don't think they just didn't look at any corners. Also, Niners news 16 seconds ago. 49ers released veteran defensive back Anthony Brown.
They released Anthony Brown.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe that means Womack and Luter are getting closer. Hey, let's thank our sponsors. Bottom of the screen, MarinAutoglass.com. Marin Autoglass, you lose a windshield, crack a windshield, you need it replaced, give them a call or go to MarinAutoglass.com. Their number is 415-883-3030. New York style Italian sausage. The only kind of sausage I will eat is New York style Italian sausage. The title sponsor of the Krug Show, Pig and a Pickle, as Big Mo just said. Pig and a Pickle. Check them out, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And then, of course, Mojo Fantasy. Krug Show brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Make sure you use the promo code Krug. Get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. Everybody who does automatically is entered into a chance to win a Bosa or a Purdy jersey, which we will give away on Thanksgiving night in the postgame after Niners Seahawks. And this top logo in the top corner here, Underdog Fantasy. We've partnered with Underdog Fantasy this football season. They give you a chance to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Check out their weekly pick'em players, and you can win 20 times your money. You can enter the same as me. I usually make a pick every single week, or you can make your own picks. Sign up using that link in the description and the promo code, once again, Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to $100. Kev, thanks for the impromptu. Appreciate you quite a bit, kid. What do you got cooking the rest of the day in Cal Poly? Are you going to hit High Street Deli? You got a class coming up?
High Street Deli is really good, but it's like High Street Deli is the place that you go if you visit slow. But I don't think I have gone since I went when I visited. Like, it's really good, but it's kind of out there.
What are you trying to say?
I'm kind of craving it now.
It's like for tourists.
No,
what about that tri-tip place you dragged me to?
Firestone.
Yeah, Firestone.
Now that's a place that I would go to on the regular.
Woo-wee.
Yeah,
I love Firestone.
that place is good. Go to Firestone.
Do you have a favorite place down there that you go to?
For what? For like dinner?
For for dinner, because I know you're not cooking that much.
No, I cook sometimes. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I'm kind of on a budget. I don't really eat. I don't really go.
What do
to
you mean
a
your
restaurant.
budget? You're a megastar now. Are you kidding me? You're a monster. You're making all that YouTube money.
Wait. Where was it? Tim Johnson. Nepotism at its finest here, Kruger. Your son is a bore. I'm not. It's not nepotism. I'm a system child. Remember that.
Do not say he's boring. I mean, whatever you do not call Kev boring. He's not boring. 49ers today announced they've released Anthony Brown. In addition, they have signed an offensive lineman, Jesse Davis, to the practice squad and released Kendall Sheffield from the practice squad. Davis is 6'6", 309 pounds, came into the league with Seattle as an undrafted free agent, has played with the Jets and the Dolphins and the Steelers. He was traded from the Steelers to the Vikings. He's now 32, went to the University of Idaho. So there you go, practice squad offensive lineman. Tim Johnson says, just kidding, guys, just kidding. We'll get this one too from He's Not Him. Oh, I hate that. Larry will trade Kev. Hey, look, if I can get, I got a lot of comp picks.
If I can get Young,
if I can get younger, cheaper.
No, Chase Young.
If I can get Chase Young, if they would throw in Cameron Curl, maybe for our good buddy who made the point that they didn't have Cameron Curl when he wasn't in the lineup. Remember that Cameron Curl wasn't in the lineup. Brother, we won't even say it. We won't even get into that. Anyway, thanks to everybody for jumping in on the stream, the impromptu stream. Kev, you didn't say what you got going the rest of the day. You going to the gym? What are you doing?
No, I just have. Well, I have a flag football game tonight, so that'll be fun.
So you better rest up, man. You better flag football tonight.
I have a lot of video. What's it called? Video lectures I need to watch. Like probably 2 or 3 hours of video lectures. So that's going to be fun.
Plus, you have to lengthen our close because, as you'll see here when we hit it, it's not long enough.
Yeah. I have to make a couple things for the channel and some stuff for 49ers Wake Up for Damon. So I got a couple things cooking and I got homework. So this was worth it. I mean, this is big news, big stream, big day. It was popping. It was popping today.
It was popping. Hey, and if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. Peace, everybody. Have a great Tuesday.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.